Hey guys, Danny here. Today we're looking at the Wingsland S6 4K selfie drone. You've probably heard of this drone before. It is not a new drone, it's been out for quite a while. This is a 4K selfie drone with, of course, foldable arms. Full disclaimer, I purchased this myself for £116 and I think I got myself a pretty amazing deal. You can pick these up for around £150 from Banggood. Of course, I'll put a link down in the description for you. I'm going to be doing a full review on this and I'll also be unboxing this for you. My experience so far has been mostly very good with a few issues with battery life. So let's jump straight into the video. You can see I've got the metallic silver version of this product. Packaging is very nice. Here we've got the drone itself. Comes in this little plastic case. This is really nice. Drone has a nice weight to it. I like the way the arms fold up, that they're symmetrical both sides. On some drones they overlap each other. Got some rubber feet here on the bottom. This is a nice touch. Of course, we've got our camera on the front. This isn't adjustable, which is a bit of a shame, and we've also got our LED flash. So the wings fold out, of course, and they have a nice, satisfying click to them. They feel nice and sturdy. Quite surprised by how small the propellers are. Hopefully these still give us good acceleration and maneuverability. I'm really glad I went for this colour. It's got a really nice finish. It is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet. It does leave some marks, but it's not too bad. We've got some pins here on the top. This is probably for the attachments that you can add to this drone. We've also got our quick start guide. We've got a pack of spare props, which is always handy. We've also got our battery charger. And of course the battery itself. This is a decent sized battery, so hopefully we should get a fairly good flight time. Our USB to micro USB charging cable. We also get this little metal screwdriver. It's pretty cool looking. So far the unboxing experience has been very good. Here we've got our battery compartment on the back. So you can see the battery simply slots in the back here. Get a nice little click. It is a little bit annoying to remove, so you have this little flap here at the back which you pull down and then pull the battery out. You kind of have to get your fingernails behind here. Not the best design I've seen, but it's not too bad. The charger is nice and simple. We get a red light over here on the right when it's charging. When it's fully charged, it turns green. You can see here on the side we've got two slots. We've got a micro USB slot, which I'm assuming is going to be to transfer our files off of our micro SD, and of course we've got our micro SD slot. So I'll put the micro SD in here and see if it's one of the ones that clicks or if it just pushes in. So that was a nice click and the micro SD is in there. I'm using a class 10 32GB micro SD. This little case that comes with the drone is a really nice touch. It feels nice and sturdy. It's got a little clip here on the side that closes. This is really great for transporting the drone. As you can see, even with me shaking this, it really doesn't move around at all. So this is a great little thing if you want to chuck this in your backpack to protect your drone. Really nice little extra feature. What's also worth noting with this drone is it's capable of adding 3 different attachments, one being a gun, one being a searchlight, and also a emoji display. I think these are a little bit gimmicky, but they're still cool nonetheless. I haven't seen this on a drone before, so it's definitely an extra selling point. When I first connected to the drone using the app, I got a notification of a new firmware, which you can install by putting the file onto a micro SD card in the drone and then powering it on. You also get a little tutorial screen that you can flick through that shows you how to calibrate the drone. This is a very straightforward, simple process and was easy to do. The app is very robust for this quadcopter. You can change several options such as the flight speed for the drone. You can also turn off beginner mode. You can change your picture and video quality settings. You have several smart features you can utilize. Overall, the app is very well laid out, worked very well, and I didn't experience any crashing. The drone was also very straightforward to calibrate. The drone is capable of recording in 4K as well as 1080p at 60 frames a second. You also have several different options you can adjust for the photo and video settings. Throughout my testing, the drone was incredibly stable. In high wind it did drift a little bit, and sometimes depending on the amount of satellites you had, it did drift somewhat, but most of the time it was pretty rock solid. You can see me pushing it here several times and it holds its position really well. It did sometimes change its altitude slightly, but I never really had any issues, and keeping it stable was never a problem. You can see here I have my hands off the controls and it's hovering perfectly on the spot. As I said, this can differ. If you're in very high wind it will struggle a bit more, but in most situations it handled really well, and I was really impressed with just how stable it is. You can get some really nice footage with this drone. I was also very impressed with the signal from this drone. The FPV feed worked very well. I did occasionally seem to get some interference and a little bit of breakup, but overall I found it very solid. I was also really impressed with the height I was able to take this drone to, and it still remained very responsive. I didn't even push it to its limit because I took it to as high as I felt comfortable, and on top of this, the camera quality of this drone is really good. It's definitely one of the best I've personally used. It won't be the best out there, but for me I was very impressed with the camera quality. Even in low light situations it still performed fairly well, so I don't think you're going to be disappointed with the camera on this drone. The pictures also turned out quite nicely, as I'll show you now. The drone also has some smart features, one of these being follow me mode. This is one of the best I've tested in these cheaper drones. It worked really well. It followed me and kept me in shot most of the time. I think this is just working off a basic GPS level, so it doesn't always perfectly keep you in frame, but it was quite responsive, and again I was fairly impressed how well this worked. The drone also has a orbiting feature where the drone is supposed to circle you. I couldn't get this to work, but I'm suspecting this was of my own doing. I think I did something wrong within the app because it didn't seem to do anything at all, and I have seen this used before and it looked like it worked fairly well. I tested the drone's return to home feature and I thought it was a little bit average. It definitely returned to the spot I took off from, but I didn't find it to be extremely accurate. This can be dependent on, of course, how many GPS satellites you've got, but nonetheless it did work okay. So this drone definitely does have a weak point, and that would be its battery life. When filming in 4K, I was only able to get an average of a 5-minute battery life, and this was over 3 different flights from fully discharging and charging the battery. When dropping the video resolution down to 1080p at 60 frames a second, I was able to get about a 7-minute flight time, but this is not close enough to the 10-minute flight time that's advertised for this product. It's a bit too low in my opinion. This could be a problem with my battery, so I would definitely look into this a little bit further.
cheaper, but overall I'm still very impressed with this drone. It does a lot for the money, and especially if you can get this during a sale, you can get yourself a really good deal.
On a lot of the initial reviews I saw for this drone, they were very mixed, and the biggest problem I saw was the drone being unstable. So in my experience, you saw that this seems to have been fixed. I did put a firmware upgrade on the drone after I purchased it, but this is apparently an upgraded model, so it says on Banggood's website. I found the drone incredibly stable to fly and easy to control. The app was really on point. It had lots of different settings you could adjust in terms of video settings, picture settings, as well as control settings for the drone itself. I would recommend, if you're going to fly this drone, especially outside, that you put this on the maximum flight speed setting, because otherwise I think it maneuvers very slowly, and if you get in a bit of a sticky situation and you need to quickly maneuver the drone, the lowest setting I think is a little bit too slow. The camera quality on the drone is very impressive, but this is to be expected for the price point. Nonetheless, as I said, I'm still really impressed with the camera quality. Even in quite low light on an overcast day, the camera still performed fairly well. The pictures aren't too bad, but I was more impressed with the video quality. The drone was also very stable, which meant there wasn't really a lot of shake in the video, and they turned out quite well. I was also really impressed with the FPV feed. I had very little interference or stuttering. That was overall really good. I even took the drone up to quite a high height. I think I got it up to about 30 to 50 meters before I started to bring it down, because this thing doesn't have the greatest battery life. But I was really surprised by the reception from the drone to your smartphone. This is often quite a big problem with these selfie drones, but with this I didn't have any problems, and it was nice and fast and responsive. One of my favorite things about this drone is definitely its design. It feels premium, it feels heavy, it feels bulky in your hand, so it feels like a premium product. But I also think this is a little bit of a downside, because the battery life does not seem very good on this drone. This could be due to its weight. It's definitely one of the heaviest drones I've held before, especially for a selfie drone. I really like the compact design and the small propellers. I also love the fact that this comes with its own case. That's also a really nice touch, especially for the price you're paying for this thing. The drone also stated to have obstacle avoidance on the website. I could not see this in the settings, and I was able to fly the drone almost into myself on a few occasions, so I wasn't able to see this working. Probably my least favorite thing about this drone is its flight time. When you're recording in 4K, you will get around 5 minutes of flight time. Now that could be due to me having something wrong with my battery, or it not being a very good quality battery, but I can only go on the unit I've got. When I dropped these settings down to 1080p at 60 frames a second, I got a 7-minute flight time, but this was advertised to have a 10-minute flight time, so I'd expect to get at least fairly close to that, and the maximum time I was able to get was around 7 minutes. This is definitely not bad for a drone in general, especially a selfie drone. You don't normally get long flight times, but this just seemed a little bit disappointing for me for the price point, and especially it was advertised for getting a 10-minute flight time. Again, the app for this drone was really solid. It never crashed for me. It worked really well, it worked flawlessly. I didn't have any problems with it. That can often be a pain if you have an app that constantly crashes. That's something I've experienced before. Overall, I'm really impressed with this drone, and I'll definitely give it a thumbs up. I think if you can get this for sub £150, that is a pretty good deal. I managed to get this in a flash sale at £116. So if you can get yourself a good deal on this, this is a really good little drone to have. Of course, you have that short battery time, but I think this drone makes up for it in other areas. As always, if you'd like to buy this drone, you can find a link down in the description. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, I will see you in the next one.